Huh. No matter how much light I put in front of me, it always goes dark when I hit record. Anyways, what's going on, YouTube? Hey, anyways, uh, yeah, that's without practicing before I did this. I'm also recording on my cell phone, which totally sucks right now because I brought my laptop up into my studio, and while I was setting it up, I dropped it and busted the screen. So, yeah, I'll be doing much more quality films later. Until then, it only works when it's hooked up to my TV, so it will be remaining downstairs as our regular TV computer until I can figure something else out because I'm not dragging a TV up into my studio to plug into every time. So this is my first video. I am absolutely guitarded, and I can't stress that enough. I have basically it annoyed my wife to the max with it. I spend pretty much 24 hours a day thinking about guitars, and I love guitars. I love everything about them. I love playing them. I love working on them. I love watching other people's videos. Even the most lamest and boringest of videos, to me, is absolutely entertaining because I get what these people are doing, and even when they're not talking and their hand is in the shot, I'm right there with them. So yeah, the idea of this page is really to show you how you can be obsessed with guitar as far as tinkering with them, buying them, playing them, gigging, doing whatever it is you do, working on other people's. If you're a total geek squad style where the electronics are enough for you to be happy, because there's plenty of people out there, even phenomenal luthiers, who suck at playing but they love what they do. And I'm just everything combined. I can't stop myself. It's pretty bad. Like, as soon as my wife goes to bed at night, which is anywhere between 10:30, 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock, she goes to bed and I immediately am on YouTube catching up on all my guys' videos. And it's great. I love watching them because it shows me two different sides. One, you've got the side of the guys who have the money, who either have companies or they're well-established luthiers or whatever, or they own shops, and they've got tons of cool stuff going on that I could never achieve, which is fun to kind of live, vicariously through them. I also love the guys who, you can tell, are like me, guitarded and broke, literally have no kind of money, and they still manage to play with guitars all day, getting new ones through working for people or trading or flipping one of their expensive guitars for two cheaper ones to get something better. Or that's a story I did to acquire my, and I'll show you later in a different video. I have a white Classic Vibe Custom 2014 that I did kind of a really scurvy trade of two Squire Telecasters, a Bullet and an Infinity, which, the Bullet was kind of fun because it had that humbucker. I'm a traditionalist. I don't like humbuckers on Telecasters really, especially not in the bridge position like the Bullet had. And I traded that and a Butterscotch Squire Infinity. combined total, I bought them both new. They were, what, 210 maybe, Guitar Center. And from that, I traded it to a guy online for a phenomenal Epiphone Les Paul Cherry Burst top, 98. It's just dynamite. And I flipped that because I don't play Gibsons. I don't care for the bridge. I don't like resting my hand on that little mohawk of spikes. I feel like I'm teetering, with the Telecaster Ashtray bridge. I'm just there. I'm on it. The ends of my hands have, the outside of the bridge to catch it. It's just more, to me, it's more comfortable. And I can hit it on a dime. When I'm flying, I can move in and wham, I'm there. So I traded the Les Paul Epiphone, for a really amazing. And I know I got the weaker end of the deal on that, but I look at it from the beginning, where I sold traded, I should say, the two Squires for a heck of a Les Paul. Even though it was an Epiphone, the guy had it professionally set up. It was fun to play, even though it wasn't my thing. So I traded that to a guy for the white classic vibe, and that thing, even though I got the lesser end of the deal on that, money wise, it was still, to me, a perfect trade because I got a Telecaster out of it, and I'm a Telecaster guy. I'm a Telecaster freaking freak. It's just the best guitar. It was right from the beginning, and it still is, and it makes the best sound. And I don't like a fat sound. I like right here, playing all up on the bridge. That's where I live, and I can still do metal. I can still do rock. I can do jazz. I can do blues. This thing is all over the board, and it looks the part. Now I'm just rambling. So bottom line is, this page, or I should say these videos, are basically going to be me explaining how I get all my guitars, and I'll do some shots here in a second of what's going on in my studio and my workplace, of how I get my guitars, how I come across them as far as trading them, or like I said, doing work for people, or up until my son was born a year ago, I was a commercial painter. It was a small company, and we painted apartment complexes, not the outsides, just the interiors, and did some light drywall work. In that, I actually wound up finding a couple different guitars, and apparently that's not a rare thing because I had two different painting jobs. The last one is where I found a couple guitars. The job before that was a painting job doing apartment complexes also, and a couple of my coworkers have found guitars that way. Buddy of mine, Mike, he found a phenomenal acoustic Ovation. It might as well have been like freshly opened, stuck in the closet, and they moved out. An easily a $400 guitar sitting in a closet. My buddy Josh, guy I worked with in my last job, together we found this really cool, I think it was a 1984 or 85 Ibanez, and I'm not 100% sure the model, but it was like an off-white cream that, of course, after a handful of years had gotten really yellowed out, probably from a little nicotine, sitting in the sun, just not being taken care of. When we got into the apartment, it was an eviction. People's stuff was everywhere, and we started finding pieces of the guitar. There's a piece over here, piece over there. Found the neck in the bedroom, the body in the bedroom. Found one of the humbuckers, I believe, on the floor in the bedroom. The pick guard in the living room. And where the guitar was sitting, it looked like they had taken it and thrown it through this vanity mirror that was sitting, like a little sink vanity mirror thing in between the bathroom and the master closet. And it looked like they threw the guitar into that. And that's what finally did it in. But we took all the pieces back to his house. He sat on them for a while, got them over to a buddy of his house who works on stuff. And we thought he was going to replace the pickups in it to put some beefier ones in because they looked really worn out. But he wound up just putting the whole thing back together, and it worked like a charm. The last guitar I found was a Washburn, and I'm not sure what the specific number, model of it was, but it was the Hard Rock Casino model, if you've ever seen that. Super death metal-y, spiky headstock, really pointy arms, Strat style obviously, but it had a humbucker and 2 singles. And that thing was actually pretty good too. It needed some new strings and a little bit of adjustment on the neck, but that was just sitting in a closet. And it's not like it was sitting in a closet behind the closet door like they just missed it. It was like in this downstairs closet under the staircase, just laying there on the floor. So I poked my head in when I did my first check of the apartment, saw it sitting there, and decided I'm totally going to take this. But since the maintenance guys had walked us over to the apartment, I kind of scooted it aside so they wouldn't see it. And now it's mine. And I plan on remodeling it because I really hate pointy arms on death metal guitars, and the headstock is just horribly Ibanez-y 80s. I can't take it, so I'm gonna chop it and put some of the tuners on the bottom and just make it a little different. So that's the point of this show. That's the point of this page, is to just channel, I should actually call it, is to just show you how you can get guitars, come across guitars, find guitars, trade for guitars, work for guitars, you know, and just in random you'll build a pretty awesome collection. And not just a collection, you'll build up a base of people with that collection. And that's something else I'm starting to learn too as I get more into guitars and as I branch out more and do the Facebook thing and now the YouTube channel and whatnot, is I'm building up my own little community as well as joining other communities of other Guitarded people, so that I do have somewhere to, you know, go and talk about guitars at ridiculous lengths and not bore my wife to tears, you know. So that's half the battle, is to turn this channel into a way of getting that out of my system, so that she doesn't have to deal with me all the time. Because to myself, I annoy myself sometimes. Like even right now, talking in this video, we're at 12 minutes and I'm starting to annoy myself. So I'll do a quick little scan of the room here in a second, and that's it. I'll see you guys on the next video. Okay, now that I've thoroughly annoyed you, I'll do a quick scan. This is my bedroom door, studio door, whatever you want to call it. It's a room upstairs. We have a 2-story. My wife's got the second room, it's her office, and then I've got this room, which is what I call my studio. A couple, a cheap guitar my buddy wasn't using, sitting in his laundry room, rusting, so I picked it up, cleaned it, put some strings on it. It plays okay. Electric acoustic bass, no big deal there. It's just a Brownsville. Got my keyboard, my Yamaha, bought that new, 99 bucks. Spent 20 on a nice sustain pedal. It's a hunk of junk, but it's there for just when I do recordings. I can get some, you know, violin sounds or whatever I need out of it. Here's my guitars. As you can see, I'm a Telecaster collection. Telecaster, 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 Telecaster. This is cool here. I'll get to this one in its own video. It's a 93 made in Mexico dual sonic reissue. Then I've got my Squire, whatever, Strat that I reliced, whatever. Like I said, I'm Guitarded. I'm on YouTube all the time. I can't stop myself. I see guys relicking guitars. I wanted to relic one, so I did. Came out okay. Don't really care. It's got stock pickups and it's made in China. Whatever. This is another made in China Strat that I redid the neck on it. Didn't do anything else to it. I mean, I put some gold screws in it and whatever, but I redid the neck to give it that, like, Stevie Ray Vaughan, totally nicotine stained, whatever. And this is not mine. This is an Epiphone SG. That's my buddy's. It's here because the ground wire is starting to fall off it, or has fallen off it, whatever the deal is. I got to get that opened up and fixed for him. Currently, this is what I'm running with. My Marshall MG100 HDFX. I got it pretty much new off a guy from Craigslist. It's not the greatest amp. Don't get me wrong, like, I'm not trying to knock Marshall, but this is very much on the lower end of stacks you can get. It's got 412s. The cab is, It's whatever it is, it's whatever it is. I don't use the effects. I put a little bit of a reverb on there just because I don't have a reverb pedal currently. And from that, I leave it clean and I run all my sounds off of my pedals. So as far as a clean amp with a little bit of reverb, it works wonders for that. Don't expect it to do anything else because the distortion on it is absolutely horrible. Moving across. Hey, look, there's a microphone in the shop. This is cool. I got this at a flea market. This is a Silvertone 4-string guitar. And it's supposed to have, you know, your standard metal strings of whatever type you desire, but I threw nylon strings on there and tuned it like an ukulele because I play ukulele too. And as you'll see behind my guitar racks here, I got ukuleles hiding here, ukuleles hiding there, ukuleles hiding behind there. I had a big problem with ukuleles. I had, there's 23 of them before I started giving them away to people. Moving on. This is my little mixing board. It's nothing exciting. It's a Behringer. I can plug my microphones into it, and that comes up to my acoustic amp that I actually run my vocal mics off of. It's not great for it, but in a bedroom this small, it works perfectly fine. On my wall, what do I have? Oh, there's a concert or a gig that I did where we covered Finch, and these are just pictures around it from the show. Moving on over here is yet another one of the cover shows. We did Silverchair this time. That was fun. More pictures around it from that show. This, I don't even have to explain what this is. Fucking PV5150. Oh my god. It ain't mine. But you know what? My buddy left it here over a year ago, and he's been reminded of it, and he does not seem to care that it's still sitting here. He knows it's safe. He knows I use it. And he's cool with that. And he's a drummer, so he just never picks up his guitar and doesn't care. So it sits in my house, which is awesome. A couple more guitars. This is neat. This is my wife's. Her first act. It had a heck of a belly swell in it. So what I did using this is I lifted up one of the sides and I simply set it right on top of the bridge, one of the feet off of this on the bridge on that little tiny first act, and I left it there for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it was, a month, and cheap wood, the belly swell just got squished out of it, and because I live in Florida, and it goes from, you know, humid to dry to humid to humid to humid to humid back in the AC of my house, which is like super dry to humid to humid to humid. Anyways, it was enough variations in the humidity and the temperature in the room to basically straighten out that swell. And as soon as I took the weight off it, I thought after a couple days it might come back. Never did. Here's my baby. My wife bought this for me. This is my Butterscotch 2014 made in Mexico Telecaster that I have not done as much work to it as I would like to, but I've definitely done some work. I did setups on it. I put all vintage slotted screws in it. I also got a vintage string tree for it. Even the straps buttons have the vintage slotted screws in it, as well as, and I don't know how well this will show up doing it on my cell phone, but the volume knob right there, that is actually off of a 1956 Telecaster. I bought that off of Reverb for $80 off of some guy who had a box full of parts that he was selling for a luthier friend of his. And yes, that's a nickel on there. And it's a 1952 nickel. So, came across that and some change, figured what the heck. Here's my workstation. Sorry about that light. That was what I was using for filming. Turn that, dude. And here we go. Lift it up and turn on those. These are wood Legos. That's what I put my cell phone on to make the film. Yep. Totally ghetto. These are just a handful of tools that I use on a regular basis to do work. And of course, every studio has to have, wha-bam, a badass chair to sit in. There's my closet. This is cool. It's an old Halloween costume of Kurt Cobain that I tacked to my wall. So now I have Kurt Cobain forever in here. And that thing scared the crap out of me a bunch of times coming around the corner before I remembered it was there. Stuff on the wall. You might see a lot of this. Wolfface tends to pop up. It's a friend of mine's band. I'll talk more about them at some other point. Now to get to this, which is my pedal board that I made. Power still on? Yes, I can turn it on. It's got LEDs. Yay, and multiple different colors that you can change through, and strobing, and blah, blah, blah. Which is really cool. Pedals I'm running. That's the Marshall switch. Don't ever use it. It's just there because it needs to be. My MXR, full-bore metal, that gets me the distortion that I like to hear, and it works well with the Marshall amp. Next to that, of course, I'm a 90s kid. I'm 36, so you know I gotta have my chorus to go with my distortion. Digital delay after that. I don't really mess with that much. I got it because I needed to make some certain sounds when we did our Silverchair set. So I have it. You can get the same effect of what I like to hear from my reverb over the actual delay. Past that, chromatic tuner, and then the Crybaby wah. And the strips that are on there, you see how well they're glowing right now? That does that when you get like almost any kind of light hitting it at the right angle. So if you're gigging, I mean, it's caution tape anyway, so it's meant to be reflective, but it freaking does a great job. And when you're playing in a dark club, you don't miss where your pedals are at when that's on there. And I just love this one on the Crybaby. I was going to do a small one, but I decided I would just use this big strip in the middle. It freaking looks like the Ghostbuster trap. I feel like I'm catching ghosts every time I hit it. It's awesome. What else am I running? Microphone that my buddy left over here. Another microphone that I found in a unit while painting. I'm telling you, I find stuff while I'm painting. It's awesome. And I'm Irish. So that's my studio. Now I'm going to be washed out because that is bright. So anyways, I'll talk more about my guitars individually. I'll talk more about repairs I do and show you repairs I'm doing as I do them. I'm really getting blinded by this light. Ew. So anyways, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. You don't have to subscribe, but if you do, that would be really cool. Otherwise, yeah, that's about it. Goodbye, YouTube.